Hi there, and welcome to my game review for Wytchwood. I'm Icon, and in this video I'm going to talk about the game's story as spoiler-free as possible. I'm going to talk about the gameplay, so you know what it's all about and what you're getting yourself into. I'm also going to talk about the pros of this game, where I personally think it does a great job, and I'm also going to talk about the drawbacks, the things that you could possibly not like about it, or where you need to have some tolerance or some spots where the game just could have done better, in my opinion. After that, I'm going to give a summary about the game in general, and if you're looking for a certain topic, you'll find timestamps to that in the description box below. So first, let's talk about the story a bit. You start out as this lovely little witch, and you wake up in your shack. You don't know how long you've slept, you only know you have a aching back. The pages of your spellbook have been eaten by a weird goat person that's hanging around in your hut. You see, it's this lovely fella here. And before you know what's happening to yourself, this goat is talking to you and telling you that you're owing him some serious debt. So the story goes on, and paying these dues is the main plot line, and finding out what the hell happened is a secondary goal there. And this is all delivered with a lot of humor, a lot of snarky and witty dialogues, which really made me chuckle all along and give you a good motivation to follow the storyline. Now, gameplay-wise, I already said a little bit about that. You are ought to collect things and craft things and solve problems with that. So at first you start here at the shack of the witch, and you get access to a little bit of a teleporter network here, and there's a lot of different maps where you can work at. So there's swamp and forests and fields and lots of other biomes to play at. You unlock them in over the course of the story. In every biome there are different things to collect and different problems to solve. So some things can be just directly collected, some things just need a tool to be broken up, like this tree trunk here, and some other problems you will have no clue how to solve them. For that, the game uses a system which is called the Witch Eye. You just press G, and then if you mouse over something, you see its weakness. For example, the squirrel's weakness is a snap trap. After inspecting something and knowing its weakness, you can craft this item, and this is how you step up to problems in this game. You get to some point where there's something which you're not able to deal with, then you inspect it. For example, here, this dryad, and then you know what you need to craft to get the job done. Crafting is super simple. You just open your grimoire. Over here you see completed spells. These are items that you can interact with. Over here you see reagents. These are either quest items or intermediate items you need to craft something else. For example, the wicker work is a necessary ingredient in every snap trap. It's super simple and it's a lot of fun. Ingredients are stored in an endless bag, so everything you store somewhere is not really an issue, so you don't need to worry about inventory space too much. Activatable items get stored in your tool belt. Your action bar is limited, so you only got 8 slots here, accessible with the hotkeys 1 to 8, and you execute those with the right mouse button. It's all super easy and pretty accessible, not really complicated at all. The most bothersome thing is that you have to put these items into your tool belt manually, and your tool belt is limited. So overall, this is how it works. You will get access to several quests that will tell you to collect stuff, and when you collected stuff, story will advance. And to advance in the story, you will eventually run into more and more in different areas and biomes where you will find new items to interact with, new problems to solve, and this is the basic gameplay loop behind that. It's very satisfying because you always get baited by these juicy story parts, and I really enjoyed myself here a lot. And that's pretty much all I have to say about the gameplay. It's pretty cool because everything here respawns and it's feeling really interactive, and yeah, I enjoy that part a lot. So While we're here at this, I'm enjoying this part a lot to talk. Let's talk about the good sides of this game, the pros section. So, first off, this game is super easy to learn. That's something I really, really appreciated. Long-term viewers of my channel know that I usually do tutorials about new games. This game is so freaking accessible, I didn't even need to do a tutorial. So really, really brilliant work on that point. Other games are way more hard to get into. Another really cool thing, I really need to talk about it, is the visual presentation. It's looking awesome. It's all hand-drawn, it's all this weird and wacky world where the squirrels look like a crossover between mice and I don't know what. Everything is magical, and that's a lot of fun to look at. Combined with a really serene and wonderful soundtrack, the presentation of this game is just gorgeous. Another thing I really, really liked about this one is the fact that there is a clear understanding of what there's to do. You always get a pretty quick understanding of your next task. So this one led on my side to little to no frustration about the next goal or whatever in the game. That's something I really, really enjoyed. Also, the writing on the story is absolutely and exciting. I really like every character that I've encountered so far, and doing these quests that didn't feel like a chore to me. It felt like I couldn't wait for getting the job done to see how the story goes. So all in all, Wytchwood does a lot of things very good there, and it's really a welcome surprise. Another thing, and that's the last point on the pro side, is that while Wytchwood is just a collectathon game and a crafting game that didn't really invent anything new, due to the fact that everything here is kind of wacky and crazy, you have to look at your problems creatively. You see a lot of solutions that come quite unexpected. One an example, so there's these dogs. Putting them to sleep with a portion of meat that has been worked with sleep poison isn't really a new thing. That I'm getting to this dog, putting out my big old shears, and shearing that dog for a very important ingredient, dog hairs, struck me as something new. So there's a lot of crazy little wackinesses in this game that really, really amused me. The game has a very cool way of working with language in general. So let me give you another nice little example of what I'm talking about. For example, there's this little tree of the pixies here, and those pixies are invisible. So you don't see the pixies, I do. Here is an elusive pixie. Get the idea? For me, as a lover of puns, this game does so many good things with language. I love it. All right, enough of the good sides. Let's talk about the bad sides, because there's no game without downsides. So, one big problem that I see with Wytchwood is that the problem-solving process is very simple. You always have to craft something to solve a problem. The materials there, you could divide them into tiers. So tier 1 is the stuff you just pick up from the floor. Tier 2 materials are crafted out of these tier 1 materials, and then there are materials that only drop after you have created something really crazy that has been made out of lots of parts, and then you can farm another part. So basically there's a tier 3 or 4 item, if you want to say so. Why am I getting into all of this? Because it's really sometimes quite a chore to craft all these items to farm another creature with. The Dryad, for example, here needs a cinder box. The Embers, I need to shovel out some ashes, no problem. The Rodent Lard, I need to catch a squirrel for that. First, I need to craft a snap trap. The Fireflies, okay, I can catch those directly. This is a pretty harmless recipe, but it really goes on from this way. So it grows more and more complicated, and the game really forces you to, or it's really meant that you collect everything that's coming your way. Otherwise, you will have to grind for resources. Is it something, well, you know, this didn't really bother me because I love my grind. I'm just like that. But it might turn you off in this regard, because if you love complex puzzles and riddles, this game might strike you as a little bit simplistic. I personally didn't mind because sometimes, you know, just some relaxing game with a wonderful fairy tale did the job for me, but this could turn you off to some degree. The other thing that really did bother me a lot was that some of these interactions are quite cryptic. So how do these items work? Most of the time you only find out how these items work after you use them. So since some of these critters are actually aggressive, you see this dog, if you get too close to him, he's hunting you and trying to bite you. And you have to find out how these items work, and there's no description whatsoever about how you use these. This bothered me a lot, because I personally would like to see, you know, how these items work, because some of them are something you put on the ground, and then you wait for the critter to walk on it. Some of them are a projectile, which you can fire at these people. Some of them are releasing a point-blank AoE around you. It's sometimes a little bit hard to discern, and since some of these resources are really a pain to craft, I'd love it if the game would have been a little bit less elusive about how things work. But beyond that, there's only one last point I could say, and that's the fact that it doesn't offer you too much replayability. If you're looking for a game that's giving you lots and lots and lots of hours of playtime, well, Wytchwood won't serve that well, because it has a clear story, and once it's done, it's done. And if you're looking for some deep and endless collectathon like Stardew Valley or these games, you might be disappointed if you were expecting that. With that all said, let's get into the summary. I personally think that Wytchwood is one of the best games available in the terms of a wonderful crafting, collecting fairy tale adventure. It's pretty unique in its way how it does things. None of the parts that Wytchwood uses are truly new. All of these things have been used by a lot of games, but given the unique theme, given the nice writing, and the really cool ambient sounds, and the whole presentation of this game, I've been in love with this one when I first saw the trailers. Then I was in doubt. Then I was playing it a bit, and then I felt like, wow, it's a lot better than I thought. And that really sums up my experience with Wytchwood. If you have doubts, well, you've seen what it's all about. The biggest downside of this one is it's a bit clunky on some ends, like using your magical items can be sometimes a pain. It can be a little bit monotonous because you're just collecting stuff and giving stuff to people. Fetch quests are a big thing in this game, and then you're crafting something new. So if you're overplaying this game, let's say like played 6 or 8 hours straight, you might get a little bit bored, but you shouldn't do that anyways. This game's not meant for binging. It's meant for enjoyment, you know? And if that's what you're looking for, Wytchwood is a save and goodbye. And I hope that helped you out, and feel free to leave me your comments down below. Doing reviews like these in this format is a pretty new thing for me. Feel free to let me know how you liked it. Leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and of course consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. I do daily content, and I'd be delighted to have you as well. See you guys soon. Bye bye.